What about foraminal stenosis? You've heard of that. Or foraminal narrowing. You may have heard of that also from your X-ray report or MRI report. What can exercise do about that? That's the focus of today's episode of Ask Dr. Walter Salubro. This is episode 23. So if you've heard of those words, foraminal stenosis or foraminal narrowing on either your MRI report or your X-ray report, and it can be either in the lumbar spine or the cervical spine, also in the thoracic spine, but it's less common. So it's more common in the lumbar spine and cervical spine. What does that even mean, foraminal stenosis? Let me show you with my models, okay? So let me show you normal first. So here's a spinal model, okay? So there's the anterior front part, the lateral part, and the posterior here, okay? So we have the discs, spinal cord, spinal nerves, and the openings where the nerves come out of, they emerge from the spinal cord, right? So that's the spinal canal. And this opening over here where the nerve comes out of, right over there, that opening there, that's called a neural foramen or spinal foramen. Foramen in Latin means window, so it's an opening of where the nerves come out of, okay? So obviously the nerves have to branch out from the spinal cord to get to all your body parts, right? Your organ systems and your limbs and everywhere in your body. So they need an opening. So that opening needs to be as free as possible. Now there is content there. There's fat tissues, there's blood vessels, there's obviously nerve, right? So these structures do occupy the space of that opening, but they're cushioned well and they adapt very well when it's normal, okay? So that's a normal neural foramen right there, okay? Or spinal foramen. Here's an abnormal one or a degenerated one. One that has neural foramen encroachment or neural foramen stenosis right there, okay? So you see the degeneration process over here, the disc degeneration, right? Now that spinal nerve is being compressed by a foraminal stenosis. And that typically is caused by disc compression or disc thinning or wearing down of the disc heights, and these bony spurs that encroach. Encroach means to go into, right? To trespass into a space that shouldn't be trespassed on, as an example, and that nerve now is being encroached on or being compressed, okay? So that's narrowing of the neural foramen or neural foraminal stenosis or foraminal stenosis. Side by side, take a look. Okay, see the difference? One is open, one is closed, okay? All right, so now, what can exercise do to actually help that? So here's a question that I got by Gail. Okay, so Gail asks, can exercise help improve L4-L5 foraminal stenosis along mild bulge disc of this area? Sometimes a disc bulge, okay, so there's a disc bulge right there, okay, can actually encroach on that neural foramen and also cause foraminal stenosis as well, on top of the bony spurs. As you can see, it's a very complex situation, okay? And usually foraminal stenosis is an indication that there's been some degenerative process there or some kind of disc injury, okay? Here's another example of a disc bulge right in there. It's hard to see, but right in there where there's a disc bulging, right in there, and you see it's encroaching on the nerve, okay? So unfortunately, these degenerative changes and neural foraminal stenosis, encroachment on the neural foramen, these are permanent changes. These are permanent degenerative arthritic changes. So you're not going to be able to reverse that with exercises. However, it doesn't mean that exercises are not helpful. All I said was you're not going to be able to reverse the permanent degenerative changes with exercises. But what exercise can do is help to improve mobility, improve function, decrease some pain, irritation in those areas, and that alone can help relieve the symptoms associated with any neural compression at the foraminal area, okay? At the foraminal stenosis. So what kind of exercises are good? And I have these on my channel. You can look them up in a variety of different videos. So things like mobility exercises, like seated pelvic tilts, or other mobility exercises like mad cat or cat camel exercise. Extension exercises like lumbar extension, Superman's, prone cross crawl, okay? Things to help stabilize the spine. These are all great exercises to try to get some extra mobility into the lumbar spine and get some extra motion in there. Motion is health for the joints and the discs. So if there's degenerative changes and degenerative arthritic processes that are going on there, the more mobile it is, the less that deteriorates over time, okay? So there is some things you can do in terms of exercise to help improve the symptoms associated with neural foramen stenosis or foraminal stenosis, but you're not going to reverse the actual permanent changes, okay? So keep positive about it, and you know that you can do some things, plus getting chiropractic adjustments, posture corrections, these things can help as well too, okay? So that's the answer for today's episode of Ask Dr. Walter Salubro. If you have any questions or comments, do leave it in the comment section below. It may be featured in the next actual episode. And if you're new to this, subscribe, because I am putting these videos up each and every day so you don't miss out with this content. Plus, I have a whole bunch of other videos you can watch to help support the spine, lumbar spine, cervical spine, thoracic spine, in terms of exercise or introduction to corrective care. And if you've missed the past episodes of Ask Dr. Walter Salubro, just go right over here at this playlist right there. You see it right there. And you can catch some of the past episodes, binge watch them from the beginning, or pick and choose the topics you like, or just watch a couple of them. Either way, the playlist is right there.